Hey, ladies, welcome to another episode of the Revitalize Womanhood podcast, my Friday episode To the Core, where we talk all things four core categories: beliefs, bonds, body, biz. And that's really all encompassing of life, period. That's why I created it, because then I can talk about anything. I thought, what in the world could I do to make it so I could just talk about anything and it would fall into a category? There you go. I am on borrowed time today. My 12-year-old has been so good to help. Rick is still in Alaska. He's been in Alaska for 10 days. Oh, sorry, I just ran down the hall to sit down, so gotta catch my breath. Um, he's been in Alaska for 10 days, and so my big boys have been at their grandparents' house, but they're back now, and so today I had a lot of things scheduled. So he's been so good to help with the baby and his brothers, but I had a doctor's appointment. I recorded today with a guest. I had my rally call with our community, and now I'm trying to be proactive and get my Friday episode recorded. But I did not lock my door, so we could have some interruptions. Like I said, I'm on borrowed time, so I don't even know if we'll get through this tonight. I may have to finish it up tomorrow, but we just had the best rally call. Okay, so in our private community, the Revitalized Sisterhood, we meet weekly on what we call is our rally call. And it's where the whole community gets together, not just them individually in their own squads. This is the whole community gets together and we talk about usually the monthly topic, what I've got for us. But a lot of times I kind of get on my own tangent of things that are on my mind, and that's where we go. And if you're following along, or if you're not, go do it. For the last 2 weeks in a row, my last 2 Friday episodes have been it's been like a boulder rolling downhill, honestly, from when it started. Something that just got like a bee in my bonnet about figuring out extreme ownership of taking action in your life, in the decisions you're making in your life, in questioning yourself about what it is you actually want in your life or from your life or to do in your life or what makes you happy. And I mean the whole take action, do it. Stop sitting around. So what kind of started it was, okay, I used this example in my call today. And I don't know how many people appreciated this. If you know Ferris Bueller's Day Off, there's a scene where his friend Cameron, he goes to find his friend Cameron to help him with the fiascos of the day. And he finds Cameron in bed, just sick. And he's in bed and he's like singing to himself, "Let my people go." Like he's just basically preparing for death is what the scene is. And I'm telling you, that's how I've felt this whole first trimester. That's how I felt. I am Cameron in this scene for the last 3 months, that I'm just like waiting for death to take me. I was immobilized. My body, my physical body, my mental state, everything about it was just corrupt, horrible, toxic, in a dark place. I was Cameron. So anyway, it got me thinking about what the topic was for this month's topic, July's monthly topic in our community, which is basically empowering our minds and bodies. It's basically the concept of, are we taking advantage of our body's fullest ability when it is at its most healthy, optimal working level, right? Are we taking advantage of our minds? Are we doing everything we can with our minds? Are we learning as much things? Are we absorbing knowledge? Are we reading books? Are we painting pictures? Are we creating art? Are we creating music? Are we running? Are we jogging? Are we jumping? Are we playing with our kids on the trampoline? Are we sitting on the couch or eating horrible foods? Whatever it is. Okay, I know for a fact that we are so spoiled. We are so spoiled. And we're blessed. We are just blessed. That's what it comes down to. We are blessed, but really, through some perspectives, we are so spoiled that we take these things for granted. We take for granted that we have water that just comes out of a tap. We take for granted that we can go outside. Well, I'm going to say this lightly without being murdered, but that's changing. Anyway, you know what I mean? We take for granted that we have all of these things that we can do are at our disposal, and we don't do them. So that started the boulder rolling down the hill of my last 2 Fridays episodes. So please go back and listen to those, because this is kind of also on that topic. And I don't know if I'm beating a dead horse, but I am. I don't care. I don't care until you hear me say, not only say, take action, and you actually are taking action. You're actually doing the words that I'm asking you to do. You're actually doing the things that I'm asking you to do. So last week's episode was not a normal podcast episode. It was me asking you a series of questions to help you kind of really, 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 really dig deep into you. The example that's really easy is I gave my dad this book for Father's Day a few years ago, and it has these prompts, these questions that prompt him to answer these questions. Like, for example, it asked him something about his childhood, and it brought up this memory for him of the alley that ran alongside his house and the fence and something. Anyway, it was a while ago that I read this, but he had said to me, I would have never in a million years thought of that moment, ever. That question, for some reason, the way that question was asked, it triggered this memory. And it was from his childhood, and it was so cool. It was the coolest thing to read. I know it sounds like I'm unimpressed because I don't remember it now, but at the time it was really cool. But he's got a book full of them, right? I learned so many things about my dad that he doesn't talk about. He doesn't sit down and talk to me about. I should have him on the podcast. I should talk to him. I should ask him these questions, but I don't. We don't. And so that's the whole idea of these questions, is to kind of help unlock something in you that maybe you weren't thinking of before. And one step further than that, do not think about anybody else while you're answering these questions. This is wholeheartedly, 100% all about you. It's all about me when I'm answering them. I'm not thinking about my husband. I'm not thinking about my kids. I'm not thinking about my neighbors or the people on Instagram. I'm not thinking about anybody else. I am thinking about me. So when you're answering these questions, you are only thinking about you. All right. So in our rally call tonight, I gave them, I know that was like 18 questions from the last call, and I gave it to them to be answering these this whole month, which is a lot. That is like a lot of information to get through in their squads and individually, whatever. Let's just start, okay? Just start. Don't think of it as a whole. You have to eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? But just start. Just take action. That's the point. Just take action in it. So anyway, I broke it down. I broke down and created maybe like 6 questions for our call tonight. And I wanted to go over these. I realized these are going to be my answers. And I forgot to answer the last one. Oh, I realize these are going to be my answers, but I would love for you to ruminate on your own answers. I would love for you to sit and think, maybe replay this at another time when you have a minute to write these questions down for yourself, and do this again, like I asked in last week's episode. Add these to it. They're just different questions. They're just unlocking different things in you, inspiring you to think in a different way. Anyway, so I realize these answers are going to be personal. They're going to be mine, but I am asking them so that in hopes that you think about them yourself, for your own life, in your own way. All right, the first one. What aspects of daily life can be enhanced to bring more fulfillment into your full life, into your life as a whole? All right. So for me, that made me think of when I'm traveling with my family, when we're on these trips. And I used to take for granted, I really did, that and I didn't do it on purpose. It was just, because it's a practice. What I'm about to say is a practice, but we were so busy trying to take in the magnitude of the fact that we were living in other countries and seeing other countries and people were speaking different languages, and we were trying to figure out the traffic laws and how to get around and how to communicate with people. It was very overwhelming. So you have a hard time really just stopping and slowing down and appreciating the fact that you are enjoying a moment with your family that you may never get again. Like, this is an incredible thing, to be standing at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower with your family. I mean, or watching your two little boys run around the grassy meadows next to Stonehenge, or, trying to spot Nessie at Loch Ness. So as I have aged, gotten older, wiser in my age, and we've done this more and more and more, it's become more easy for me to slow down and really appreciate that I can just be sitting in an apartment, looking out the window at a beautiful unknown French city, the buildings, the architecture, or wherever I am, right? And enjoying a glass of their wine and watching my little boy on the floor play with his dinosaurs. Or watching my husband wrestle with our boys, or watching him tease them, or listening to him in the car, driving, listening to them tell stories to each other, making up these stories that we should turn into books, I swear. But, and so then I thought, well, why does it have to be only specific to when we travel? Why wouldn't this be slowing down and learning how to appreciate these moments in my everyday life at home? Because really, if I can make it where I can do that, like that's my natural normal, is to slow down and really be present in my daily life and appreciate these moments and just soak up the goodness and the yumminess of these moments in my everyday life, then it will actually just be natural. It will be what I do naturally while we're traveling. It will just happen naturally. So for me, it was slowing down, creating a better practice for being fully present with my kids. And I'm going to start my action to this is I am literally going to set 3 alarms a day. This sounds so stupid that I have to do this, and I might not have to all the time, but I'm going to set 3 alarms that remind me, stop what you're doing. Turn off your phone, turn off the TV, whatever the kids are doing, get into it with them right now. So I hopefully won't need those alarms for very long or much, but they're there. That is an action to make sure, that is setting a timeline, a time frame to make sure this happens. All right, next question. Have you identified a specific passion or interest that, if pursued more actively, could lead to greater purpose and satisfaction in your life? Yes. I have discovered it. It is here in my community with these women, and the most specific piece of it is the one-on-one coaching, is the being the hype girl for someone else, is cheering someone on in something they're going through or in something that they want to achieve, and being the person that's like, you can do that. I know you can do that. We're going to make it happen. I'm going to help you do it. And it's going to be by me cheering you on and telling you that you can do it. But anyway, that is something that I find so full of purpose, and it's so satisfying to me. But the other thing was also learning a language, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to do it. I have to decide. It's between Italian and French. I have to decide, look at all this time I've wasted not learning the language, and now I've been to the countries so many times. I could have been fluent by now. I could have actually been having conversations with people in their language. So that's what I've got for that. All right, next question, 3. How do you envision? Now, this is a question that is very specific to just you. This is very specific to just me. This is very specific. So I don't want you thinking about what someone on Instagram might think about this. I don't want you thinking about what your sister thinks about this. I don't want you thinking about any other person. This is your definition. How do you envision a fully lived life for yourself? How do you define a fully lived life for yourself? How do you define that? Lots of people, like, I shouldn't say lots of people, a few people on my call tonight said traveling. That traveling would make them feel like they have lived a fully lived life. That's not the case for some people. We have lots of people tell us all the time, oh, I could never do that. Oh, I could never be away from my bed. Oh, I could never, be away from my routine. And that's fine. That's beautiful. That's why this question is so specific. How do you envision a fully lived life for yourself? And what steps can you take today to align action with vision? I love it. If you guys are watching the YouTube episode of this, I am all Italian today with my hands. Okay. What action can you take today that will eventually align you with that end goal of a fully lived life? So for me, it's spending time making so many memories with my family, traveling. That's for me to continue this lifestyle, but also to continue this work in this community. And I'm not even saying specifically with this community, but I want the legacy to be left. I want to, when I leave this world, look back and say, I changed the direction of how women viewed womanhood. I helped pioneer women standing up for themselves and saying, this is something I need, and that's okay. It's not selfish. I don't need to have guilt for having a job while I'm a mom. I don't need to have guilt for going on a vacation by myself without my kids and enjoying time either by myself or with my girlfriends. That is okay. That is acceptable. And I want to know that the next generation, I want to know that my generation has absorbed that concept, that being selfish or being thinking about yourself isn't selfish. It's critical. If you are functioning at your best, then your family and your loved ones get the best of you, not the rest of you. So I want that legacy left. I want to know that I did my part to be a pioneer in making sure that women know that they can speak up for themselves, and it's not to be a bitch or a hag or like a man hater or blah, blah, blah. It's because I'm a woman and I'm awesome and I have needs too. And I'm going to make sure that they work with my husband's because I love him and we are creating an incredible life together and my kids are part of that. But I have a voice and I have decisions and I take part in the opinions of it as well. So that for me is my legacy, that I can be part of that continuing concept. Okay. All right. Next question. Are there any habits? Oh, this was a good one for me. And this was brutally honest. I was brutally honest with myself. Are there any habits or mindsets that you believe hold you back from embracing a more purposeful life? How can you overcome them? Yes, I am lazy. Which is really interesting to say and really interesting to admit to myself because I have a podcast. I consistently put out podcast episodes. I create content for my Instagram page. I do my weekly planner, right? To-do lists. I plan for future things. I create monthly topics. I mean, I do all these things. I do all these things. However, have I learned a new language yet? No. I'm lazy. I am. I am distracted easily. I'm lazy. I have a thought process of, oh, it'll happen eventually. It'll just happen. It's supposed to happen. It'll happen. What? That's completely opposite of what I talk about here in this community because it's not true. That's what I'm saying. That is my toxic trait, is that I just think it'll happen. It'll just happen. But then I don't take any action towards accomplishing it, i.e., learn a new language. So that's a perfect example of that. And that is something that I have to be really mindful about and more aware of the fact that that's happening. So I have to catch myself when I'm doing it, when I'm sitting on the couch watching a show instead of reading a book about something that could improve my mindset or improve my community or help others, whatever. All right. Next question. This one is such a good question for my community. So if you don't have a community, please look into joining ours. It's incredible. What are you waiting for? But think about this in terms of if you do have your own community, think about this as in terms of that. In what ways can engaging, that's the key here, engaging, being a participant. You're not a spectator. Life is not a spectator sport. It's a participation sport. In what ways can engaging with a supportive community like ours, the Revitalized Sisterhood, help you in your journey towards living more authentically and more fully? We had some really good answers in our call tonight for this one. So good, because we are all talking about our own community. So we know how that feels and we know how we operate in here. And it was really encouraging and just made me so feel so good inside to hear everybody talking about it. But not only is there a diverse, we range from 70, are you 78, 77 or 78, Rosemary? We range from 77, we'll give her that. She earned that 78 if she's 78. We range from that to, we used to have a 20-year-old. Now our youngest, trying to think who our youngest is. Anyway, 30s, right? We'll say 30s. Diverse and everything in between. So we have a very diverse range of women, different races or different religions, different countries. We live on different continents, different time zones, different seasons of life. We're very diverse. Okay, that's the point I'm making here. Very diverse. So not only is there a very diverse sounding board, but we are all bonded in the like-mindedness of becoming better or our best versions of ourselves. And in doing so, learning that nothing anybody else in here says is meant to offend me. It's not. If it offends me, that's my problem. Nobody in here is saying anything to offend. Everybody in here is coming with love and with support and with eagerness to share. Like if I have something that I can share with someone, I hope you can take something and learn something from maybe my mistakes or maybe something I've already been through. We are all bonded in that like-mindedness, that we are here to support, encourage, motivate, inspire each other. And when you're doing that work, when you're all doing that same thing, that is the agenda you have. That's the only agenda. It's incredible. It's so incredible. So, in what ways can engaging with a supportive community help you in your journey? And remember, the engaging part, that's the best part. I reminded all the women to share tonight with all of their other members of their squads that weren't here, that couldn't be here because it's summer and we are dwindling in numbers on our calls while it's summer. But remind them that what if them not being here tonight and them not sharing, or even one of the women that were here, what if them holding back on something that they wanted to share, something that they wanted to add, what if that could have helped somebody, influence someone in a way that changed a trajectory of something in their life? What you say matters. You have a story to tell. Excuse me. You have a story to tell, and it is important. And the things that you have been through, are important and can help somebody. I won't stop saying that. We all have a story that needs to be shared. All right. This last one I haven't answered yet myself, so I'm going to think about this as I ask it to you as well. It's a big question. Let me take a drink first. It's a big question. Okay. What motivates you to strive for a life filled with purpose? What motivates you to strive for a life filled with purpose? And how can you harness that motivation to make positive changes and pursue your dreams with passion and determination? Well, what motivates me is knowing what it feels like to be stagnant, knowing what it feels like to fear not having an impact, to fear being not needed, to fear being useless, to fear, like, I feel that. I remember feeling that way after I had my C-section and I couldn't move and I had postpartum and I felt very dark and I felt this way. I just told you I felt this way for the last couple months. I'm not kidding. I'm laughing. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. It wasn't pretty. It was dark. Being scared to feel that way all the time encourages me and motivates me to eat better, take better care of my body, use my mind and body in the way that it to its fullest every chance I get, because there are opposites to that. There are opposites to when you are not able to do that. And knowing that feeling, that's what motivates me. So that motivates me to strive for a life filled with purpose. And that's how I harness knowing the feeling of what it could be the worst case scenario, which probably isn't even the worst case scenario, you guys, but so far in my life, that has been the worst case scenario for me. All right. Okay, lovelies. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode this week. And look, you guys, we got through it without a baby bothering us. So good. We did so well. All right. As we conclude today's episode, remember that answering these insightful questions is just the beginning of your journey towards a more fulfilling and purpose-driven life. It is in the action, ladies. It is in the action that transformation truly takes place. So take the time to reflect, prioritize all the things that you are aspiring towards, and then courageously step forward into action. Embrace the power within you to shape a life filled with passion, purpose, joy. Your story is waiting to unfold. You have a story. I'm telling you, you have a story that needs to be told, and you are writing it. As we speak, you are writing this story that others will read. So get out there and make it extraordinary. Stay tuned for more inspiration and empowerment on our next episode. Coming out Tuesday, I have my guest, Katie Millett. It is such a good conversation, such a good episode. Do not miss it. Tune in, and we'll see you next week.